In today's Neville Goddard conversation, by popular request, we revisit discussing the first-class journey to the destination. Neville says, all transformation begins with an intense, burning desire to be transformed. The first step in the renewing of the mind is desire. So we know that the spiritual self speaks through the natural self through the language of desire. We also know that desire means you already have. We are thus here to experience life and also to know the true nature of life. Thus, each one of us has this sacred inner relationship to fulfill life. Now, I've heard many stories from those who connected with me over the years alongside tears in their eyes who experienced shame towards desire growing up, and also shame associated with spirituality, where they once believed in suppressing, repressing, or denying desires. And these individuals went on to experience greater suffering as they continued to deny their true nature until they came across Neville's information and understood the true meaning of desire in relation to the Bible. Psalm 37:4 states, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart," which means God gives desire and fulfills them. So why would one shame themselves from being who they truly desire to be? Do they not acknowledge the one who gives and fulfills desires? God gives the desires and fulfills them. That is why I say, to desire is to already have. Shame-based beliefs result in suffering towards accepting that one is already fulfilled, as their true essence is fulfillment. Desire in the Bible is sometimes also referred to as hunger. The word hunger by definition means having a strong desire, which we can call a burning desire. So thus there's no shame or condemnation in acceptance of fulfillment through desire, as he says here. The story of Jesus is a complete and undeviating persistence in the assumption that you are what you want to be. If you haven't experienced wealth, and that is what you want, persistently assume I am wealthy. If you have not experienced fame, assume you are famous. But the day will come, said the Lord, when I will send a famine upon you. It will not be a hunger for bread or a thirst for water, but for the hearing of my word. If that hunger hasn't come to you, then take the same story of Jesus and fulfill your every desire. See the last part. If that hunger hasn't come to you, then take the same story of Jesus and fulfill your every desire. Life can be lived first class, however you define first class, which really means how you truly want to live, no compromise. Neville says, the conscious state in which you abide determines the kind of world in which you live. Now let's discuss the words abide and calling before we proceed. 1 Corinthians 7:20 says, each person is to remain in the state in which he is called. Again, desire determines the state to which you are called. Another translation has it, let every man abide in the same calling wherein he was called. So we see callings, which are desires of the heart from God. Also, abide and remain are interchanged, and also we see state and calling used interchangeably. Thus, God gives callings which are desires, or we could say hunger too, as mentioned earlier, to acknowledge as already fulfilled, from which you abide in that state. This is how you live your life ideally, through accepting that desires are already fulfilled for you. To experience the desires of the heart and also remain abiding in fulfillment, as your true nature is fulfillment. Now, there are two ways to abide. Abide as the self, which is formless, as we discussed in Thursday's video, which I'll link to in the description. And in relation to this passage from Scripture, abide in the desired state via calling, as we're discussing here, as there's no real need to waver. So to desire a state is to already have it. This is not about pretending. To desire is to have. Imagination is reality. And just as easily as you accept the desire and enjoy the fulfillment of that desire first class, when the next calling comes, you easily move into another state and enjoy that state first class. This is because you are truly formless. The I is formless, and you give form through imagination. For example, I had callings to have a career for 10 years. Then I moved into another state. It was a certain business. Then transitioned from that business into consulting. Then transitioned into another business, and even the places that I lived. I lived in many countries, moving from one state to another, as I acknowledge that desire means already having. And you and I are no different. Do not identify with an unhealthy relationship with desire. Exactly what Abdullah taught Neville, for example, which is that you are here to learn how to effortlessly move through desired states while enjoying them, knowing you transcend the state, and serve as a living example for others through being who you truly desire to be, enjoying a first-class journey to the destination, experiencing whatever comes after. Now let's look at some key aspects from the story of Neville's first-class journey to the destination and glean some further insights. Neville says, I said to Abdullah in the month of October, late October, Ab, you know I've been gone from Barbados for almost 12 years. I've come here in 22, and it's almost 12 years, and I've never had the desire to go back. But now I have a hungry desire, a haunting desire, to go to Barbados. Not a thing stops me, but a lack of money. I have no money. He said to me, you are in Barbados. See that right there? To desire is to have, just like that. You desire to go to Barbados? You are there now. Neville says, I said, I'm in Barbados? He said, yes. You are now in Barbados. And so you see Barbados, and you see America from Barbados. And you can smell the tropical land of Barbados, see only the little homes of Barbados, and that's all you do. You just simply sleep this night in Barbados. Well, I thought of him insane, really, because 72nd Street, we still had 50 and 60-story buildings, and little Barbados with a little 3-story building, almost the tallest that you'd find, and narrow little streets and no sidewalks. And I'm walking on a sidewalk that is wider than the widest street in Barbados on 72nd Street. Well, nevertheless, that night I slept in Barbados. I assumed that I am in Barbados, in my mother's home, and that I saw America relative to Barbados. And it wasn't under me that night, it was north of me and 2,000 miles. Well, the next day, I didn't tell him anything. About a week later, nothing had happened. I thought I would approach him. This time, we've moved into November. I said, you know, Ab, not a thing has happened. He wouldn't discuss it with me. He turned his back on me and went into his library and slammed the door. So again, this makes sense because Abdullah only knew Neville fulfilling desire by having gone to Barbados. To desire a state is to already have it. Neville says, about 3 times I tried to open up the discussion with my friend Ab between that moment when I first talked to him and the end. He would never discuss it on the basis, how could he discuss with me how I'm going to Barbados when I am already in Barbados? If I'm faithful to my assumption, I can't discuss the how, I'm already there. Well, this went on. On the morning of the 4th day of December, there's no job, no place to go, and the last boat that will get me there by Christmas is going to sail on the 6th. Under the door is a little letter from my brother Victor, and he said, as a family, we're never around the table at Christmas together. I know you don't have a job, and there's no excuse for not coming, so the ticket is waiting for you at the furnace line. Well, I was so excited, I rushed down, gave them my letter. They said, yes, we have a message here from your family in Barbados. We'll give you a ticket, but we haven't any first-class tickets left. You can go 3rd class and use the facilities of the 1st. But you have to sleep 3rd class until you hit the island of St. Thomas. When you hit St. Thomas, someone disembarks and then you may take a 1st class bunk. I said, I'll take it. I rushed to Abdullah and said, I got my ticket for Barbados, but I have to go third class. I'm elated and happy about it. He said, who told you that you are going to Barbados? And who told you that you went to Barbados third class? You went to Barbados and you went first class. Would say no more. He isn't even happy that I'm going to Barbados now. So now, there's no need to settle. Why settle? Abdullah was known for not entertaining anything he would not consider first class. So when he heard that Neville was going to Barbados third class, that is not a fact in imagination. And this is the key. To desire a state is to have it. Let this world continue to rearrange until it appears exactly like how you desire it to be. Neville says, so we went down on the morning of the 6th day on December with my third class ticket, went up to the desk as they're checking in the passengers, and put my ticket forward, and they said, I got good news for you, Mr. Goddard. Someone has canceled and you're going first class. And I went first class all the way down to Barbados. 10 days down, 10 days back, with 3 heavenly months in Barbados. I love that. Heavenly months in Barbados. Heavenly journey to heaven. So again, what we can learn from this is point simple, point blank. To desire is to have. See, the thing about Abdullah is he did not have quibbles, as he said, to entertain beliefs he would not consider ideal. He enjoyed first class wherever he went. For example, in those years, Neville mentioned that Abdullah would not be allowed to go to the box office, or so it seems, and buy a seat in the orchestra. And if he did, as Neville said, he would probably get a seat in the balcony. But Abdullah always got what he wanted, and he always went first class. Abdullah would not even let him go down to buy the seats. Instead, Abdullah would go right straight down to the box office and order for 2 in the center. He would say, I don't want too far back, not beyond the 6th row, right in the center. Yes, sir, they would give him the tickets. So now there's many insights we can glean from the story, which we can explore in upcoming conversations. The one that I desire to emphasize today from personal experience is the release of resistance, which are craving and shaming beliefs with respect to desires of our heart. This allows us to embody the effortless representation of the way Abdullah demonstrated. From my experience the last few years, when I was accepting this way, where I appeared to do only what I desired, there were those that also appeared to reveal the doubts I was entertaining. Doubts externalized through others showing up to echo the doubts I was entertaining. They would appear to reveal that this thought was not possible, that's not how it works, this is not the way you do it, which were only reflections of the doubts I was entertaining. And so attention would automatically go there. And then those doubts disappeared, and so did those conversations, for I changed the very nature of how being was represented. Again, 1 Corinthians 7:20. Each person is to remain in the state in which he was called. The other translation has it, 1 Corinthians 7:20. Let every man abide in the same calling wherein he was called. Notice how man and person are used interchangeably. And as mentioned, state and calling are used interchangeably. Man and person are referring to the formless I. And calling and state are one. Desire and state are one. Desire means to have the state. You are called by desire. There are infinite states. And you are the formless I, innocently accepting the desire already being fulfilled. Childlike acceptance, like that's the way it is. Don't let anyone appear to tell you what you need to desire. Desires are exclusively received and fulfilled within automatically. God and only God gives and fulfills desires automatically. This is also why I say, desire means to have. I have removed the craving or shaming separation beliefs which result in seeking externally with regards to desire. and it is now easy to accept desires as already fulfilled with no resistance. And your I and my I are truly no different. Therefore, you do the same by simply accepting, like that's the way it is, the way you imagine it is. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. Let's go ahead and conclude this with an auto-suggestion to further encourage. You could say, I already have what I desire. I actually already have all that I desire. As desires show up, I acknowledge I already have them to remain in a perpetual state of fulfillment on the first-class journey to self-actualization and beyond. If you would like a copy of this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk with you soon. Take care.